Chosen ones. Even as your heart feels tired and your mind wonders how long the waiting must continue, I, Yeshu Masih, speak to you now, not from a distance, but from within the quiet place of your soul, where my voice has always lived. And I say to you, my beloved child, do not measure your life by what you see today, because what you see is only a moment, and what I have prepared for you is eternal. For there were nights when you cried in silence, and days when you smiled only so others would not see the weight you were carrying. Yet every tear was counted, and every prayer spoken even without words reached my throne. And you thought perhaps heaven was silent, but heaven was never absent. I was working in ways you could not perceive, moving hearts, shifting paths, closing doors that would have destroyed you, and delaying answers only because the blessing required a stronger version of you. And now I say to you, the season of confusion is ending. The fog that surrounded your decisions is lifting, and clarity is coming like morning light after a long dark night. For I am not a God who forgets promises. I am the fulfillment of every promise ever spoken over your life. And even when people doubted you, dismissed you, or walked away when you needed them most, I remained, strengthening you in ways you will soon understand. Because the breaking was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to remove what could not go where I am taking you. And hear me clearly now. What you lost was not punishment, it was protection. What left your life was never meant to stay. And what is coming will stay because it is sent by me. And I know you questioned your worth, asking why others prospered while you struggled. Why doors opened for them while yours seemed locked. But I tell you this, my timing is precise, and delay is not denial. For I was building depth in you, not just success, character before elevation, faith before abundance. And now the ground beneath your feet is shifting not to make you fall, but to position you correctly for what is about to rise. Because I am about to restore what was stolen, repay what was delayed, and reward what was endured in faith. And you will see suddenly how everything connects, how the pain shaped your strength, how the waiting sharpened your discernment, and how the silence taught you to hear my voice more clearly than ever before. And those who underestimated you will be surprised not by your revenge, but by your peace. Not by your pride, but by your authority. Because when I elevate my chosen ones, I do it in a way that no human can take credit for. And I am telling you now, prepare your heart, not in fear, but in expectation. Because doors will open that no one can shut. Favor will surround you in places you never imagined, and provision will come from directions you did not expect. And you will know it is me because it will happen without striving, without begging, without forcing. For what I give freely carries peace, and what I bless does not add sorrow, and do not fear the changes you sense approaching. For I am removing you from environments that drained you and aligning you with people who will recognize the anointing on your life, people who will not compete with you but celebrate you, who will not use you but walk with you. And yes, there will be those who cannot go with you where I am taking you, but release them without bitterness. For not everyone is meant to travel every season with you, and I know your heart is gentle and you forgive easily. But remember, forgiveness does not require reconnection. Wisdom is also love, and I am giving you wisdom now, sharper than before. So you will no longer repeat cycles that once kept you bound. And hear this, the enemy thought the delay would break your faith, but instead it strengthened it. He thought isolation would weaken you, but it deepened your relationship with me. And now what was meant to harm you is turning into a testimony that will bring hope to others. Because your life is not just for you, it is a message, a living proof that I still heal, still restore, still elevate, and still walk with those who trust me even when they do not understand. And you will speak with authority because you have lived what you will testify, and your words will carry weight because they were formed in truth. And I am telling you now, lift your head, straighten your shoulders, and release the heaviness of yesterday, because you are stepping into a new chapter. One written not by fear, but by faith, not by loss, but by purpose. And I, Yeshu Masih, go before you, making the crooked paths straight, calming storms before they reach you, and covering you with a peace that surpasses understanding. And even when challenges arise, they will not overtake you. Because you are no longer the same person who entered the battle, you carry my authority now, my discernment, my strength, and my favor. And I say to you, my child, you are chosen, not forgotten, prepared, not delayed, protected, not punished, and loved beyond measure. And as you walk forward, trust me fully, speak life, reject fear, and remember always, I am with you, not only in the miracle, but in the process, not only at the destination, but in every step. And very soon you will look back and say, truly, the Lord was with me all along, even when I could not see him, guiding you forward. And from that sacred continuation, I say to you again, my child, do not underestimate what I am doing quietly, because heaven often works in whispers before it moves in thunder. And you were never meant to understand everything at once. You were meant to trust me step by step. And I know there were moments when you asked why the road felt lonely, why familiar faces disappeared, why support faded just when you needed it most. But hear me now. I removed distractions so you could recognize direction. I removed noise so you could hear truth. And I allowed distance so you could discover strength you never knew you carried. And today you stand not weaker, but wiser, not broken, but deeper, not empty, but prepared. And I, Yeshu Masih, say this with authority. The days of merely surviving are ending, and the days of purposeful living are beginning. For I am awakening gifts that were dormant, reviving dreams you buried out of disappointment, and restoring confidence that was slowly eroded by repeated setbacks. And do not fear responsibility that is coming, because I will not call you without equipping you. And I will not send you without going before you. And when opportunities appear suddenly, do not doubt yourself. Remember how far you have come. Remember what you endured. Remember who sustained you when no one else could. And walk forward with humility and courage, because favor will meet obedience, and peace will guard your decisions. And even when challenges rise, they will no longer define you. They will refine you. And the testimony forming in your life will speak louder than any explanation you could ever give, because people will see change before they hear words, and they will know something divine has touched you. And through your journey, others will find hope, others will find faith, others will find the courage to keep going. And that is why the struggle had meaning. That is why the waiting had purpose. That is why the pain was not wasted. Because I am a God who redeems time, restores years, and transforms wounds into wisdom. And as you continue walking, stay rooted in my presence, not anxious about outcomes, not afraid of opinions, not shaken by delays. Because what I am unfolding cannot be rushed and cannot be stopped. And soon you will look back not with regret, but with gratitude, understanding that every closed door redirected you, every disappointment protected you, and every tear watered the ground where your future would grow. And I tell you again, you are not late, you are not behind, you are exactly where my grace has brought you. And from here the path opens wider, clearer, and stronger than before. Grow. And as that future unfolds, I speak again with gentleness and authority, because many times you assumed silence meant absence. But silence was preparation. It was the quiet shaping of your spirit, the unseen strengthening of your roots. And I, Yeshu Masih, tell you this now, so you may finally release the burden of self-doubt that clung to you for too long. For you were never overlooked, you were being set apart. And separation is painful only because it carries purpose. And I know you wrestled with thoughts that questioned your value, replayed old failures, magnified past mistakes. But hear me clearly, your past does not define you. It instructed you, it refined you, it redirected you. And what once felt like defeat became the foundation of discernment you carry today. And this discernment will protect you in seasons of abundance, so you do not lose yourself when blessings increase. Because increase without wisdom destroys many. But I have given you both patience and perception. And now I am inviting you into a deeper trust, not emotional faith, but anchored faith. Faith that remains steady even when circumstances fluctuate. And I see how you long for reassurance from people, but I allowed disappointment so you would anchor your confidence in me alone. And from this place you will no longer beg for validation. You will walk in quiet authority, knowing who you are and whose you are. And your presence will speak before your words do, and the atmosphere around you will shift, because peace travels with those who walk closely with me. And even now, I am loosening attachments that no longer serve your calling, habits that once comforted you, but now restrict you, patterns that once felt familiar, but now hinder growth. And this release may feel uncomfortable, but freedom often does at first. And soon you will breathe easier, think clearer, and move lighter, because obedience always produces clarity. And I am also healing places you. From a place deeper than fear and higher than doubt, I, Yeshu Masih, speak to you now, not as a distant voice, but as the living presence that has walked beside you through every unseen struggle. And I say to you, my beloved child, release the weight you were never meant to carry alone, because long before you found words for your pain, I had already prepared healing, and long before you understood the lesson, I had already planned the outcome. For many times you believed you were failing when in truth you were forming. You believed you were losing when in truth you were learning. And you believed you were forgotten when in truth you were being guarded. And I watched as you endured silently, choosing faith even when answers delayed, choosing kindness even when wounded, choosing obedience even when misunderstood. And these choices shaped your spirit more powerfully than comfort ever could. Because strength is not born in ease but in endurance. And wisdom is not gained in applause, but in perseverance. And now I say to you, the season of internal struggle is shifting into a season of outward clarity, where what was once confusing will become evident, where what was once heavy will become light, and where what was once broken will become testimony. And do not be surprised if the pace changes suddenly, because acceleration follows alignment. And when your heart aligns with my will, movement becomes effortless, doors open naturally, and resistance loses its grip. And I know you questioned your prayers, wondering if they were heard, if they mattered, if they carried power. But I tell you this with certainty, every sincere prayer leaves an imprint in heaven, and nothing spoken in faith is ever wasted. Even prayers that seemed unanswered were reshaping you to receive something greater than what you first requested. Because I do not give merely what you ask for, I give what will sustain you. And often mercy delays so maturity can develop. And as maturity grows, so does capacity. And now your capacity has expanded, allowing me to entrust you with deeper purpose, greater responsibility, and lasting influence. And influence is not measured by visibility, but by impact, not by noise, but by transformation. And through your life, others will encounter hope without you needing to preach it, peace without you needing to explain it, and faith without you needing to force it. Because when you walk in truth, your presence becomes a message, and I am teaching you to move without striving, to speak without fear, and to stand without apology. Because confidence rooted in me is not arrogance, it is alignment. And I'm also teaching you discernment, so you no longer confuse familiarity with destiny, comfort with calling, or attention with approval. And this discernment will protect you in seasons of growth, guarding your heart, your time, and your spirit. And there will be moments ahead when choices appear similar, but outcomes differ greatly. And in those moments, listen not to urgency, but to peace. Because I lead through peace, not pressure. And as you obey, you will notice restoration unfolding naturally, relationships healing gently, opportunities arriving unexpectedly, and provision flowing steadily. Because what is built with me is sustained by me. And I am not building something temporary in your life. I am establishing something enduring, something that will outlast trends, opinions, and seasons. And as you continue walking forward, remember this truth always. You are not walking toward uncertainty. You are walking into preparation fulfilled, promises activated, and purpose revealed. And I remain with you not only at milestones, but in every ordinary step, shaping your path, guarding your heart, and reminding you gently yet firmly that you are deeply known, fully loved, and divinely led. Divinely led. And as you continue to move in this awareness, I, Yeshu Masih Prabhu, speak again into the depths of your spirit, reminding you that growth often feels unfamiliar because it carries you beyond the borders of who you once were. And that unfamiliarity is not danger, it is destiny unfolding. And I know there were seasons when you clung to what was known simply because it felt safe, even when it no longer felt alive. But I gently loosened your grip, not to cause loss, but to create space, because fullness requires room, and blessing requires surrender. And now as you walk lighter, you will notice how strength flows more freely, how peace settles more deeply, and how clarity replaces the constant questioning that once clouded your mind. And I tell you this so you may stop replaying old conversations, old regrets, old versions of yourself that no longer exist, because you are not becoming, you are arriving. And arrival does not mean perfection. It means alignment. It means standing in truth without shrinking, speaking with conviction without aggression, and loving without fear of being diminished. And I have seen how you learned to be strong by necessity, how you carried others when no one carried you, how you stayed faithful when rewards were invisible, and these unseen acts shaped authority within you, authority that cannot be taught. Only earned through endurance, and this authority will soon express itself not through control, but through calm confidence, the kind that reassures others without trying, the kind that influences without insisting. And do not be surprised when people begin to seek your counsel, trust your words, and feel safe in your presence, because safety is a language of heaven. And when my spirit rests upon someone, others feel permission to breathe, to hope, to believe again. And I am also healing your perception, teaching you to see yourself as I see you, not through the lens of past criticism or unmet expectations, but through the truth of who you were created to be. And this shift will change how you choose, how you respond, and how you love. Because when identity is secure, reactions soften, and when purpose is clear, distractions lose appeal. And I know there were moments you questioned whether obedience was worth the cost, whether choosing integrity over convenience delayed your progress. But I tell you now, nothing was delayed. Everything was protected, because shortcuts steal depth. And depth is what sustains destiny. And the life I am shaping through you requires depth, patience, and discernment. Qualities you now carry because you chose faith when it was difficult, and as you move forward, understand this clearly. Not every open door is sent by me, and not every closed door is rejection. Some closures are invitations to trust me more deeply, and some openings are tests of wisdom, and I will guide you through both if you remain attentive, not hurried. Not pressured by comparison, because comparison blinds gratitude, and gratitude sharpens discernment. And I'm calling you into a season where gratitude becomes your strength. Not forced thankfulness, but genuine appreciation for how far you have come, for what you have survived, and for what you are now prepared to steward. And stewardship is the next lesson unfolding. Learning to care for what is given without fear of losing it. Learning to hold success without letting it define you. Learning to receive love without questioning its permanence. And I will teach you this gently, through experiences that affirm rather than overwhelm. And yes, there will still be challenges, but they will no longer shake your foundation, because your foundation is no longer circumstance. It is truth. And truth anchors you when emotions fluctuate. And as this anchoring deepens, you will notice a quiet joy returning, not loud or dependent on outcomes, but steady, resilient, and rooted. The kind of joy that carries you through uncertainty without draining you. And this joy will become a sign to you that you are walking closely with me, because my presence produces peace even before answers arrive. And remember this always. You are not required to carry tomorrow's weight today. Grace is given daily. Strength arrives when needed. And guidance unfolds step by step. And as long as you remain willing, receptive, and honest, I will continue shaping your path with precision, protecting what matters and preparing you for what is next. Because what is next is not random. It is intentional, meaningful, and aligned with the prayers you whispered long ago, prayers you thought were forgotten, but were only waiting for the right season to rise. And as those long-held prayers begin to stir beneath the surface, I speak again with patience and certainty, because fulfillment does not rush, it unfolds. And I, Yeshu Masih Prabhu, want you to understand that the quiet confidence growing inside you now is evidence that transformation has already begun, even if outward circumstances have not yet fully reflected it. For inner alignment always precedes visible change. And when the inside is settled, the outside must eventually follow. And I know you once believed strength meant never feeling tired, never questioning, never pausing. But I am teaching you a truer strength, the kind that allows rest without guilt, reflection without fear, and honesty without shame. Because vulnerability before me is not weakness, it is trust, and trust deepens relationship. And relationship is the foundation of all lasting purpose. And as your relationship with me deepens, you will notice that your desires are changing. What once excited you no longer satisfies. What once distracted you no longer holds power. And what once frightened you now feels manageable. Because growth quietly rewrites priorities. And I am rewriting yours, not to restrict you, but to free you from what exhausted you. And you will begin to choose simplicity over chaos, depth over noise, and truth over appearance. And these choices will bring peace you once thought was impossible. And do not fear the shedding that comes with this clarity, because shedding is part of becoming.